Well, with cotton prices hovering around 65 cents and acreage set to plunge again this year, what has happened to the former king of crops, and what will it take to make a comeback here in Louisiana?
We'll find out from Neil Melancon in this week's Bottom Line.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry.
It's no secret that cotton prices have been falling right along with almost every other commodity. Part of it is the decline in oil prices, which affects everything, a stronger dollar, which makes our exports costlier, and the collapse of the grain markets, which means many farmers are going to have to make up that price drop in volume. An increase in grains volume means acres coming out of cotton. Cotton is its own special case, though, because the low prices are nothing new. Even when things were good for other grains, it has not been so for cotton. You might remember Avery and I visiting the National Cotton Council headquarters in 2013, and the talk then was of the lower prices for cotton and the resulting lower acreage. They were and continue to find new ways to market cotton and cotton products to add value to our U.S. cotton production so our farmers can stay in business, but of course those low prices and low acres have remained. The problem comes in the form of the world supply issue, and in order to understand that, we have to understand what stocks-to-use ratio for cotton is. Simply put, it's the amount of supply of cotton versus how much is being used, expressed as a percentage. I know that can be a little confusing, but the key point here is that the lower this percentage is, the better for prices it means, because it means that the supply is getting used up at a fairly good rate. Here in the U.S., the stocks-to-use ratio is fairly average at about 34.1%. That's fairly normal, although significantly higher than the previous year's 17.5%, which is when the price for cotton was about 15 cents higher than it is now. If the U.S. picture were the only thing we had to worry about, prices here would be much higher. However, it's when we look at the world stage that we see the problem. The stocks-to-use ratio sits at 96.8%. That's even above last year's 93.2% and way above the norm of 32%. As recently as 2010, that stocks-to-use ratio was less than half of what it is today. The bottom line is China is sitting on top of 30 million bales of cotton by itself. And while their stocks-to-use ratio is dropping, their supply is everything the U.S. can produce in 2 years. That glut isn't going away anytime soon, especially as China is retaining cotton to compete with India, which is taking a bigger and bigger bite out of China's textile dominance, as their labor costs are now far cheaper. And guys, for bringing it back home here to the U.S., what can farmers really do as this price sinks? It really begins to affect their infrastructure. Mills start to lose profitability. They shutter or get shut down entirely. And of course, it's possible to bring that back. But then who's going to invest? I mean, if prices come back a year, who's to say that they're going to stay around? Who's going to put that money back into a cotton mill?
There's already so many cotton farmers that are just farming cotton just to keep the mills running.
Yeah.
So.
Some of those acres, especially around your neck of the woods, Kristen, you see it firsthand. Thanks a lot, Neil Melancon. Well, that about does it for this edition of TWILA. Next week, we'll bring you an encore edition of our show. That's because I'll be touring South Texas with a group of Louisiana cattle ranchers, and my buddy AJ Sabine will be in Washington, D.C. with Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers.
We'll have those stories for you in 2 weeks. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org and keep up with what we're doing on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'll be posting a whole bunch from the road. For Kristen Oakes and the whole TWILA team, thanks for watching. We hope to see you again right here in 2 weeks.